I'm Diana with Homeschoolific, and this is my husband, Michael. Say hi, use your words.
Hi.
So today's Homeschoolific, we're going to talk about dads and homeschooling. And so I thought it would be great to interview my own husband, who actually got us started on our homeschool journey. Also, I'd just like to say that he's also the person behind all the beautiful website and color schemes and everything that make Homeschoolific beautiful, besides us. So if you want to see more of his work, I'll put a link to his website below at www.creatinggen.com. So he is going to answer 4 questions for us about homeschooling. And the first one is going to be, Michael,
Yes.
why did you make me homeschool your children?
I didn't think well, did I make you?
Well, you asked, you suggested it, and
Repeatedly?
yeah, you know how you are.
I think the reason we started doing homeschooling, the reason I suggested it is our second to the oldest, Mikkel. We were getting calls and letters and teacher meetings like back to back. And the teacher, you can tell she had got to the point where she was kind of done. And
She was done at day 2.
he was not a bad kid. He was just very active. And, for him to sit in class and just be still was hard for him. She wanted to put him in special ed. And being that I was a kid that, when I was in school, special ed kids were treated a certain way, and that stigma kind of went with them. And we didn't want that to be on our sons. So,
well, actually, if he was special ed, I don't think we would have had a problem putting him in special ed classes, because that just meant he needed more one-on-one. That's the special needs. That's totally different. He wasn't special ed though.
No, he wasn't. I think, and also special needs and special ed is 2 different things.
That's true.
I've been in places where, when a kid was a little disruptive or something, that's the first thing they wanted to do. So
yeah,
I didn't want that stigma to be on him. And
that is a good point though. He wasn't special needs, but he could have been special ed, which, if he was, that would have been fine with us.
Yeah. I think, as we, start to see, what was going to be the outcome, we said, how about we do homeschooling? And we had never really we've heard about it, and we always thought that was a little weird for people to do homeschooling.
Yeah.
And every time we saw those kids, they were a little weird. But
who did you see? I never saw any homeschool kids except for one from out of a window.
So it was like, okay, we want to do this. Then I started doing some research, and we did a little research.
Did you have some homeschool kids when you were a kid?
We had some, and
that's interesting.
But they didn't come out and play with us.
So it was okay.
So
that's why we had. So I had a good reason for having a bad stigma in my head, but
yeah. So we just decided to, take matters in our own hands, and we tried homeschooling.
We did, and he thought it was a great idea, and he was right. I love it. I'm happy we did it. First year was rough, but I was a reluctant homeschooling mom. I know that's usually the opposite, but he saw what was needed. He's always like that. I don't like change. He sees what's needed. He goes into it. So yeah. Okay. So second question. What is your favorite thing about being a homeschool family?
I think seeing my children literally grow up in front of my eyes, because, when they're at school, you don't get to see them become, walk into their personality, figure out their identity. And we were there to help them through that process. And, to see them when they go from, toddlers to kindergarten, from, elementary to middle school into high school. And we got to be involved in that. And also we made sure that we were able to surround them with a good environment. And I'm not saying all schools are bad, but there's some things that, happen to our kids, and they want up having to grow up faster and be introduced to things we didn't want them to be introduced to. So it made me feel good to watch my children grow up in front of us and be actually a part of it.
Yes. I mean, and I think to that point, it's not like we're anti-school. We're just pro homeschool. And I agree. The family time, one of my favorite things, just kind of plugging it in there, is Michael always takes our kids after a certain age, and he kind of sees where their greatness is, and he caters to that. And so 2 of our kids actually work in the careers that my husband actually gave them, in spite of going to college. Well, Kel did go to college for what you gave him, and then just took it and blew it up. But our oldest, Sean, he kind of, went around to like a lot of different majors and ended up right back where his dad gave him, which was really funny.
But he did use some of his schooling to help him.
Oh, absolutely. The schooling did help.
His own business. And
yeah, it did help. And nano degree as well. But
that'd be a good one to teach homeschool parents if they don't want to go to college about nano degrees.
Yeah, that's for another video.
Yeah. Sorry.
Stay tuned. So, yeah. Okay. So third question. Dun, 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 dun. What is your least favorite thing about being a homeschooler?
I don't say right now I don't have a least favorite, but I would say over time, the thing that used to aggravate me, or things, was always that, just this thing. It was grades, giving our kids grades.
Lack thereof.
Lack thereof grades. And the lackadaisical way they used to school. And what I mean is...
And I'm not lax. He's just that rigid.
I won't say it's rigid. I wanted the kids to have some discipline. And, sometime I would be getting ready for work to head to the office, and they're, doing their school and reading their books in their pajamas, laying down, or, they didn't get...
That's a homeschooler's right.
I've learned over time to, back out of the way, and I gave them certain rules.
I'm like, they don't get to homeschool in their pajamas. I know that's sad.
Now we changed it, and we said, hey, just put some clothes on, because, to me...
We were doing pajama Thursdays, though.
Yeah, that's cool. But that was my thing. And then the grades, I wanted them to have grades, not because I wanted it to kind of dictate, who they were, or whether they were a B student or a C or D or A student. It was more or less to give them an opportunity to see where they were. Because I just believe no matter what, even if your kid doesn't go to college, if he goes to a trade school, they're going to be graded on where they are. And are they going to come out on top of the class, or, in the back? And if they don't know how well they're doing, how do they get better? So that was those 2 things, kind of being lax and grades.
Okay. I'd like you to talk to the camera, though. So just so you guys will know, I didn't used to grade. I do a light level of grading now, and particularly because as they're in high school, you need a transcript, and they don't actually school in their pajamas anymore. They may be standing on their heads at times, though.
There's been plenty of times.
I will not stop them from standing on their head if progression is made.
How do you read a book standing on your head?
Sean actually learned how to read standing on his head half the time. So he's an excellent reader. Kid was reading 2nd grade level at like 5 years old.
I'm looking at the camera.
Last question. All right, let's say we've got some families out there looking, watching, and saying, okay, but my spouse is very reluctant about homeschooling. What would you say to a reluctant spouse, especially a reluctant dad that doesn't think homeschooling is a good idea?
I would say, it's always hard to walk into change. And if you see that some things are important for your children, why not at least try it? Sometimes they can be struggling. Sometimes they can be around the wrong people. Sometimes it's just that they need a little bit more attention. And I just think, give it a try. I mean, give them an opportunity to see if it's something for them. It may not be for them.
Right. That does happen.
Or you may find a different way of schooling them that won't be direct homeschooling. So
yeah, we've done all of that.
Yeah, and I think because we tried so many different things,
Yes.
we found what worked for our kids, and we just invested into that. So if you're reluctant as a dad, I would just say you get an opportunity to see your kids grow up. You'll get an opportunity to be an influence in their life directly, and protect them from some of the things that they're experiencing, honestly, at a young age that it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So it's just important that, and then I will say this, make sure you're not being selfish, because I know there's times we used to be happy when the kids would go to school because it was like we had the rest of the day to ourselves. But man, their future is depending on us being hands-on. So if you're reluctant, I would say give it a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But when you try, actually put the full effort into it and support your wife or vice versa, whoever may be the one reluctant, support them. At least try. And I think if you see what's going to come out on the other end, we have 5 beautiful boys, and you know, when my son, my older boys are calling asking me for advice and are they trying to learn something, it's just like, that's because I was there as a father, and now they have that trust in me as
also
men.
a teacher too.
As a teacher too.
And their education from their dad, you know, even at 23 and 21 years old, still keeps on going. And so that's really cool that they constantly call him for education, stocks, business, whatever. They still do. And so I also love the, you know, I was, like I said, I was reluctant. And over the years, you cannot replace the family building that there's nothing you could do that could build your family unit more than actually homeschooling. And so I feel like we're such a tight-knit family. We all love to be together. My kids think it's strange when there's families that don't want to see each other. They're like, I don't get it. We literally enjoy each other's presence greatly. And I don't think that you can't have that in public school. I just think that when you're in homeschooling, it kind of puts you in the place where you've got to figure it out. And it was great. It's been great. We're continuing it. I won't sit up here and lie and tell you guys that every year I don't threaten some kid. We're going to public school.
I'm like, send him. Send him.
No, he's
of course they start acting up.
Yeah.
Well, I say send them so that they can get scared and get right.
But we've done it all. So we've done the hybrid homeschooling, the virtual homeschooling, the homeschooling, not schooling, the private schooling, and the public schooling, and the homeschooling independently, co-op. I mean, we've done it all. You can ask us questions and we can tell you about all types of homeschooling, not homeschooling.
And I would say for the dad, if you know, just being that we're speaking to dads, find your lane in what you're going to be a part of. For me, I'm the principal. We make sure we
higher educationer.
Yeah, I handle the careers, you know, getting them connected. Even when my sons were looking to choose a certain path, I had clients and friends that were in the industry. I would send them out to have coffee with them to get, when Sean wanted to be a therapist and he was going to school for psychology, one of my clients on therapy centers, and he sat down and had 2 hours of conversation with two of my clients. And they loved him as a kid because how he spoke and all these things, and that he was, you know, just very confident, and that helped him make a decision. And you know, that was
homeschool
cool.
Kids are usually very confident kids. They can get along really well in life. They're multifaceted, and so those are just things to speak to you to let you know it's not like what a lot of people make it out to seem. It's not like what mainstream. I've got so much footage and videos, and I always mean to put them on this platform, but I just haven't yet, of our kids living their life, as I love to say, their best life. and it doesn't look bland or dry or weird in any kind of way. I'm not saying we're not weird, because I was just born weird, but I was public school. I had no choice. I was always going to be weird.
I think people call us weird because we are overachievers.
I don't know.
Because, you know, we stepped out
we're quirky,
with our kids
in
in school. We started our own business. We just decided to do a lot of stuff, and sometimes that's a little weird to people. And
I was weird in school. I was popular. He was popular and cool. That's why when people say, oh, they'll be weird and antisocial, I'm like, dude.
Those are in school.
They're in public school. Oh, I was there. I was that kid. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us for this section of Homeschoolific. If you want to know more about us, join us at homeschoolific.com.
Clicky.
And watch out for Lavanda's video on teaching about learning styles. And I have to say, out of all of our Ultimate Guide to Homeschool curriculum, it is the most important section. So go ahead and look for that video. We're giving it to you free, and check it out. It will bless you. It will help you. If you've hit a wall, this is going to be really good. And if you watch it ahead of time, you will not hit that wall. So thanks again for watching. See you guys later. Hi, I'm Diana with Homeschoolific, and I want to introduce you to
I wasn't ready. Go ahead.